So, Barcelona want Julián Álvarez. And if I'm being honest, when I first saw the rumours, I didn't really get it. Not because I don't rate him. I've always thought he was a very good player, but when you're talking about spending a huge transfer fee, I couldn't help thinking, why him? Barcelona already have attacking talent. If they're going to spend that kind of money, shouldn't they be looking for someone who guarantees 30 or 40 goals every season? That was my first reaction. Then I went back and watched him. Not the highlight reels, not the goal compilations, entire matches. And somewhere along the way, I realised I'd been judging him completely wrong, because Julián Álvarez isn't the type of player who impresses you every 30 seconds. He impresses you after 90 minutes. By the end of the game, you suddenly realise how much of it revolved around him, and that's when everything started making sense, because I don't think Barcelona are trying to buy another striker. I think they're trying to buy one of football's smartest forwards. I think football fans have become obsessed with one thing: numbers, goals, assists, expected goals, touches inside the box. Every conversation starts with statistics. And don't get me wrong, those numbers matter, but they don't tell you everything, especially when you're talking about a player like Alvarez. Here's something I noticed: whenever people discuss him, they almost always compare him to elite goal scorers. Can he score like Haaland? Can he finish like Kane? Can he dominate the box like Lewandowski? And honestly, I think that's the wrong comparison. Because that's not what makes him special. The more I watched him, the more I realised he isn't trying to be the star of every attack. He's trying to make every attack work. There's a huge difference. Here's something I'd recommend. The next time you watch Julián Álvarez, ignore the ball for a few minutes. Just watch him. Seriously, it's fascinating. He's constantly checking over his shoulder, making little movements, changing direction, dragging defenders, pressing one centre-back before immediately cutting the passing lane to another. Most of these actions never appear in a highlight video, but they completely change how the opposition builds attacks. Then there's his movement in possession. He'll sprint into space knowing he probably won't receive the pass. At first, I thought those runs were pointless. Then I realised they weren't for him. They were for everyone else. Every run forces a defender to make a decision: follow him or leave him. Either choice creates space somewhere else. That's football intelligence, and it's probably the most underrated quality a forward can have. Then I started asking myself another question: why did Pep Guardiola trust him so much? Think about it. Manchester City already had Erling Haaland, one of the greatest goal scorers we've ever seen, so why keep giving Alvarez so many important minutes? At first, I assumed it was simply squad rotation, but the more I looked, the less that explanation made sense. Pep used him as a striker, a second striker, an attacking midfielder, a wide forward. Sometimes he'd even drop incredibly deep to help build attacks. Pep clearly believed he could solve different tactical problems. That's not something Guardiola does by accident. If you can earn that level of trust from one of football's most demanding managers, you're probably doing a lot more than scoring goals. And that's where things became really interesting, because it wasn't only Guardiola. Then I watched Argentina. Different players, different tactics, different football, yet Alvarez looked just as important. Everyone talks about Messi, and rightly so, but watch how often Alvarez creates space for him. How often he presses first, how often he makes recovery runs, how often he stretches defensive lines. Those things don't usually make headlines, but coaches notice them. Then came Simeone. Again, completely different football, completely different philosophy. And once again, Alvarez became one of the first names on the team sheet. 3 elite managers, 3 completely different ideas of football, yet all of them trusted the same player. At some point, that stops being a coincidence. Now let's go back to Barcelona. This is where I think people are looking at the transfer the wrong way. I've seen plenty of fans asking, why would Barcelona spend that much on another striker? But what if that's not what they're buying? What if they're buying flexibility? Think about modern football. Managers don't want 11 specialists anymore. They want players who can solve multiple problems during the same match. A forward who can press, drop deep, link play, run in behind, play centrally. drift wide, create space, finish chances. That's incredibly valuable. And Alvarez can do all of it. He's not the best goal scorer in world football. He's not the best dribbler. He's not the fastest player you'll ever see. But he might be one of the easiest elite forwards to build a team around, because he makes everyone else's job easier. And honestly, I think that's what Barcelona are really paying for. That doesn't mean this transfer is perfect. Every big signing comes with questions. Can he handle the pressure? Will he adapt to Barcelona's style? Will the fee create unrealistic expectations? Those are fair concerns, and if the move happens, he'll be judged every single week. But I also think people are underestimating how naturally his game fits possession-based football. His decision-making, his work rate, his willingness to sacrifice personal statistics for the team. Those are qualities every manager wants. The challenge won't be fitting him into the system. The challenge will be deciding where to use him. So, whether Barcelona actually signed Julián Álvarez or not. I think this transfer rumour reveals something much bigger. The best players aren't always the ones with the most goals or the biggest headlines. Sometimes they're the players who make everyone around them better. And that's exactly why Guardiola trusted him, why Scaloni relied on him, why Simeone built with him. Maybe Barcelona see the same thing. And maybe that's why they're willing to chase one of the most expensive forwards in world football. But now I want to hear from you. If you were Barcelona, would you spend that kind of money on Julián Álvarez? Or would you sign someone else instead? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this breakdown, leave a like. And if you love to watch football-related videos, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.